Minister Mentor, David Connor from OCBC Bank. Thank you again for joining us this evening. It strikes me that the prospects for growth in the G3 economies is quite going to be sluggish. The United States has its problems, high unemployment, problems with housing still. The European Union is going through a fiscal crisis, cutting spending dramatically. Japan has obviously deflationary problems plus political issues. If that's the case, then exports from Asia are likely to be slow as well. And export-led growth in Asia has obviously been very important for Asia's development through the post-World War II period. If this is the case that we face sluggish growth from exports for Asia, either we're going to have to replace that with domestic consumption or consumption-led growth in Asia, or Asia is going to have to integrate more. And so my question is really, what do you see as the prospects for Asia to integrate a more economically, move towards perhaps a European Economic Union kind of structure? And it strikes me also that has to be led by China, Japan, and Korea, the really big economies, if we've got any positive prospects along those lines. But what is your view in that sense? Do we face sluggish growth and the attendant social problems that will inevitably be there, or will Asia integrate and see more Asia-led growth?
Well, the Chinese are well aware that their growth is now to depend as much on domestic consumption as exports. So that means they are having to restructure their economy. That means they have to give social security for health, unemployment, and sickness benefits before their consumers will spend. They are aware of that, but there's a very big hole it will cost them, so they'll move cautiously. In the meantime, they are moving the excess production from the coast to the inland areas and selling them at a discount and telling the banks to give credit. So that will cover it up for 2, 3, 4 years. Then, in the meantime, they've got to make these changes. Singapore cannot depend on its domestic consumption. We're too small. GDP is 3.5 times our import-export figures are 3.5 times our GDP. So that's a limit to what we can do. Will Asia integrate? Really in an indirect way through multinationals from Japan, Korea, China, investing in all the countries in the region, doing spare parts, doing different parts of a production chain in different countries and assembling them in a final destination. That's already happening. I think more of that will happen. And whether the countries in Southeast Asia know it or not, that's the future. Will it become an EU? It will not be an EU. It will be co-opted by the Chinese. They've got China, Korea, and Japan having an alliance, their economic bloc there. And I think China will lead that bloc. And China will make sure that Southeast Asia, ASEAN, is part of their economic domain. It makes sense. That's the way I think it will happen.